You say you want it. You say you dream about it. You talk about it like it already belongs to you. But the truth is this: you don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to fight for. You get what you're willing to sacrifice for. So stop sitting around waiting for opportunity to knock and start chasing it like your life depends on it, because it does. You gotta go after starving. It's the only meal left on earth. Go after it like you're drowning, and that goal is your last breath. You can't be casual with your dream. You can't be polite with your purpose. You gotta wake up every day with fire in your chest and a storm in your soul that says, no matter what happens today, I'm moving forward. I'm chasing what's mine. I'm going after it. The reason most people never make it is not because they're not talented. It's not because they're not smart. It's because they never went after it with everything they had. They tiptoed. They waited for perfect. They feared failure more than they desired success, but not you. You're not gonna sit back and wish. You're not gonna beg for permission. You're gonna go after it with tears in your eyes, with pain in your body, with doubt in your mind. You're still going after it. You're still going after it. Your dream don't care about your excuses. Life doesn't slow down for your fears. So what you gonna do? Complain, cry, blame? Or are you gonna dig deep and go after IT? Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. You don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to work for. That's the line that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the takers, the ones who hope and the ones who hustle. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants the big house, the nice car, the success, the recognition, the freedom. But most people aren't willing to pay the price. Most people aren't ready to suffer. Most people aren't built for the grind that requires. You can talk about what you want all day long, but until you put your head down and commit to the work, it doesn't mean anything. Words without action are just noise. You think you're special because you want it. You think your desire alone is gonna open doors. The world doesn't care what you want. Life responds to effort. Life rewards sacrifice. Life honors the one who gets up at 4 in the morning when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when nobody's motivating them. That's when the separation happens. Wanting it is the easy part. Anybody can dream. Anybody can wish. But the grind, the daily discipline to show up and do what needs to be done when you don't feel like it, that's where the real ones rise. That's where champions are made. So, not in the moment of victory, but in the thousands of unseen moments where they chose pain over comfort, work over distraction, hunger over satisfaction. You don't get what you want because wanting is passive, but work is active. Work moves things. Work builds momentum. Work transforms your situation. Work creates opportunities. Work is the proof of desire. If you say you want it, I should see you chasing it. I should see you sweating for it. I should see you making choices that align with it. See, we live in a world where people expect results without responsibility. They want the outcome, but not the process. They want to shine, but not sacrifice. They want to skip the struggle, the tears, the failures, the long nights and early mornings. But you can't cheat the process. You can't shortcut success. If you want something different in your life, you got to do something different. You got to work for it harder than you've ever worked for anything before. People say, I want to be successful. Okay, cool. But are you willing to outwork everybody else in the room? Are you willing to say no to the party, to the sleep, to the distractions? Are you willing to be misunderstood, underestimated, even laughed at? Because that's the price. That's what it costs. There are no coupons. There's no discount aisle for greatness. It's full price every single day. You don't get what you want. You get what you commit to. You get what you grind for. You get what you bleed for. And the people who get what they chase, they've been through some stuff. They failed and gotten back up. They've been doubted and kept going. They've sacrificed time, relationships, ego, and comfort just to stay locked in. That's what separates the elite from the average. That's what creates winners. So stop saying you want it and start proving it with your work ethic, with your habits, with your decisions. Every single day is a vote. Are you voting for your goals or against them? Are you moving toward your dream or letting it slip further away because you're distracted or tired or lazy? The work will always tell the truth. The grind will always expose what you really value. If you value sleep more than your future, it shows. If you value entertainment more than education, it shows. If you value comfort more than greatness, it shows the results don't lie. Your reality is a reflection of the work you've done or haven't done. If you want to change the outcome, change the input, change your routine, change your discipline, change your effort, because wishing won't do it. Waiting won't do it. Hoping won't do it. Only work will. Every day you waste is a day you could have been working. Every excuse you make is a step further from your dream. The people who make it, they didn't get lucky. They got serious. They got focused. They got up when they didn't feel like it. They kept going when everything told them to stop. They worked when others quit. And you can be one of them. You got it in you. But it starts the moment you stop saying what you want and start chasing it like your life depends on it. Because the truth is, it does. Your dreams are not waiting for you. They're running away. That's the reality most people ignore. They think they have time. They think the opportunity will wait. They think life will pause while they get ready. But life doesn't pause. Opportunity doesn't wait. The clock is ticking, and every second that passes, your dream gets further and further and further out of reach. Not because it's impossible, but because you're not moving. You're stuck thinking, planning, doubting, second guessing, and meanwhile, the moment is slipping through your hands like sand. You say you've got a dream, but dreams don't stand still. They're moving targets. They evolve. They grow. And if you don't chase them with urgency, you lose them. You lose your shot. You lose your moment. Not because someone else took it, but because you stood still while your destiny was sprinting. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize they're falling behind. They think thinking about it is the same as working on it. They confuse intention with action. But let me tell you, your dream doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to pursuit, to movement, to hustle. You think there's gonna be a better time? You think one day the conditions will be perfect? You'll have more money, more time, more support. That day doesn't exist. That's the lie procrastination tells to keep you comfortable. That's the story fear whispers in your ear, so you never take the risk. But while you're waiting for the stars to align, your window is closing. Your dream is running towards someone else who's actually chasing it. Someone who's not waiting for confidence. Someone who's not waiting for permission. Someone who decided that action matters more than excuses. Success doesn't go to the most talented. It goes to the most committed, the most consistent, the most relentless. The person who wakes up early and stays up late. The person who trains when no one's watching. The person who keeps knocking until the door breaks open. When the dream starts to run, they run faster. They don't complain about how hard it is. They don't slow down when it hurts. They don't stop because it's inconvenient. They pick up the pace because they know what's at stake. Your dream doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't care how hard your past was. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't slow down for your fear. It keeps moving. It's daring you to keep up. It's testing how bad you want it. Every delay is a test. Every setback is a challenge. The question is, will you stop or will you chase? Will you let it get away or will you go all in? You got to move with urgency, like you're chasing your last chance. Like this is the only shot you'll ever get. Because that's the mindset that separates winners from wishers. That's the attitude that turns potential into progress. You can't tiptoe toward your dream. You gotta run like your future depends on it, because it does. You gotta move like you're running out of time, because you are. There are people out there doing less than you with fewer resources, fewer connections, fewer advantages, and they're getting it done. Not because they're more gifted, but because they're more aggressive. They're more committed. They're willing to fail forward. They're willing to take the hit and keep swinging. While you're overthinking, they're executing. While you're hesitating, they're advancing. That's the difference. Not skill, not background, just movement. You keep waiting for motivation, but real winners don't wait to feel inspired. They show up no matter what. They lace up and get to work. Motivation might get started, but discipline keeps you going. And chasing your dream requires discipline. It requires grit. It requires sacrifice. If you're not ready to run until your lungs burn and your legs shake, then you're not ready to catch what you're after. This is your warning. This is your wake-up call. Your dream is on the move. It's not coming back around. It's not circling the block. It's not waiting to block. It's not waiting for you to figure it out. It's moving fast. And if you want it, if you really want it, you better start running. No more hesitation. No more delays. You either chase it or you lose it. Simple as that. It's not about being perfect. It's about being in motion. It's not about knowing everything. It's about taking the next step by taking the next step. It's not about being fearless. It's about running despite the fear. If you're not chasing your dream right now, you're losing ground. You're falling behind. But the good news, you can start today. You can pick up the pace. You can decide right now that you will not let your future slip through your finger. Your dream is running. What are you doing? Hesitation is the enemy of elevation. That pause you take, that moment of doubt, that second of second guessing, that's the gap where your opportunity slips through your fingers. Every time you hesitate, you give fear a foothold. You let uncertainty whisper in your ear. You give comfort a chance to pull you back. And while you're stuck in that space between decision and action, somebody else is already moving. Somebody else is taking a shot. Somebody else is claiming what you said you wanted. And you're left wondering why things never change. You can have all the talent in the world. You can have the dream, the plan, the drive. But if you keep hesitating, it doesn't matter. Because the door of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. You gotta move. You gotta trust yourself. You've gotta be bold enough to leap even when you're not sure what's on the other side. Because most of the time, your breakthrough doesn't come with a guarantee. It doesn't come with a safety net. It comes when you step into the unknown with nothing but faith and fire in your gut. People say they're waiting on the right moment. But the truth is, the moment is waiting on you. You keep asking for a sign. The sign is the dream inside you. The sign is the fact that you can't stop thinking about it. That idea you can't shake, that passion that won't die, that's your sign. But you hesitate. You say, what if I fail? Or what if it's not good enough? Or what if they laugh? And while you're asking what if, life is moving on. The chance is moving on. Hesitation steals more dreams than failure ever will. Because when you hesitate, you never even get in the game. You stay on the sidelines. You watch other people live the life you wanted because they had the courage to start. Not because they were smarter. Not because they had more resources. But because they moved. Because they acted. Because they understood that fear is part of the process and action is the antidote. Every time you pause on your dream, you're casting a vote for staying the same. Every time you delay, you reinforce the habit of inaction. And habits become identity. Before long, you're not just hesitating, you're stuck. You built a pattern. You've trained your mind to avoid the risk, to avoid the challenge, to play small. And elevation, growth, success. That doesn't happen in hesitation. That happens in motion. You want to elevate your life? You want to go to the next level? Then you've got to develop the muscle of immediate action. You got to train yourself to move when it's hard, to decide when you're scared, to jump when your outcome isn't guaranteed. Because success doesn't come to the most careful, it comes to the bold. Here comes to the bold. The ones who decide that forward is the main direction. The ones who know that perfection is the enemy of progress. The ones who realize that you either move now or you miss it. And no, moving fast doesn't mean being reckless. It means being committed. It means having a bias toward action. It means you're not paralyzed by fear. You're not frozen by doubt. You're not waiting to feel ready because you know ready is a myth. Nobody feels ready. Not the first time. Not when it matters. Readiness isn't a feeling. It's a decision to move anyway, to act anyway, to act anyway, to risk anyway. Look at the people who are winning. They weren't always confident. They weren't always prepared. But they made a decision to stop hesitating and start doing. They got tired of watching life pass them by. They got tired of talking and never executing. They realized that every second of hesitation was costing them their dream. So they moved, and they kept moving. The truth is, your dream doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to have it all figured out. It just needs you to take the next step, and then the next, and the next. The path gets clearer when you start walking. The courage gets stronger when you start moving. The confidence comes from doing, not from waiting. So kill the hesitation. Starve it. Refuse to feed it with your thoughts, your doubts, your fears. You've hesitated long enough. You've waited long enough. You've planned and paused and dreamed and delayed long enough. Now it's time to go. Now it's time to act. Because hesitation will rob you blind if you let it. It will take your time, your potential, your purpose. You want elevation? Then stop waiting. Stop second guessing. Stop assuming there will be another chance. This is your chance. Right now. Don't let hesitation win again. Chase your dream like it's running from you, because it is. Move like everything is on the line, because it is. And when you feel that hesitation creeping in, remind yourself, you don't rise by waiting. You rise by moving. The grind doesn't respect feeling, only effort. That's the reality. You can wake up feeling tired, unmotivated, angry, stressed, uncertain, or even defeated. But the grind doesn't care. The work doesn't pause because your emotions are all over the place. The dream doesn't delay just because you're not in the mood. You either show up and do the work or you fall behind. Simple as that. Your feelings might be valid, but they're not the fuel that builds legacies. Discipline is. Consistency is. Relentless effort is. Everybody wants to win when they feel good. Everybody wants to go hard when they're pumped up, when the energy is high, when life is lining up just right. But what about the days when it's dark? What about when life punches you in the face and your motivation is nowhere to be found? That's when the real grinders rise. That's when the gap is created. Because the average person checks out when they're not feeling it. But the elite, they lock in harder. They dig deeper. They understand that feelings are temporary, but the results from effort last forever. You say you got a goal. You say you want success. Then you need to stop letting your emotions make your decision. You don't get to skip the work because your mood isn't right. Your goals don't care about your mood. That workout still needs to happen. That business still needs to be built. That grind still needs to be honored. The clock is ticking regardless of how you feel. And guess what? Your competition might feel the same way you do, but if they're outworking you anyway, then they're winning. You've got to build yourself to a place where effort is your identity, not just a response to how you feel. It has to be who you are, not something you do when it's convenient. You don't brush your teeth only when you feel like it. You do it because it's necessary. The grind is the same way. You show up whether you're excited or exhausted, fired up or fed up, confident or scared. Because you know the reward doesn't go to the emotional, it goes to the consistent. Think about it. How many times have you let a feeling stop you? How many mornings did you wake up with plans, but your energy was off, your mind wasn't right, and you let the whole day slip away? That's the trap. That's the silent killer of dreams, basing your actions on temporary feelings instead of fixed commitments. Because emotions come and go, but purpose stays. Passion fades, but purpose stays. Hype wears off, but discipline remains. You gotta learn how to grind through the storm. Grind through the silence. Grind when no one's watching. Grind when your heart is heavy and your body is tired. That's when champions are made. Not when things are easy, but when everything in you says stop and you push anyway. That kind of effort leaves a mark. That kind of effort stacks wins, builds muscle, and hardens your mindset for the next battle. Understand this. The grind is your partner in the process. It's the tool that carves your greatness. But it only works if you respect it. You can't cheat it. You can't fake it. You can't just flirt with it on the good days and abandon it on the bad one. It requires loyalty. It requires fire. It requires showing up rain or shine, broken or bold, afraid or fearless. Because it's not about feeling ready. It's about being relentless. You've got to stop giving your feelings the key to your future. Stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. You didn't start this journey because you felt good one day. You started because you had a vision, a calling, a need for change. And that need is still there. That vision still matters. That future is still waiting, but it won't wait forever. And the grind is your bridge to that future. The grind is what transforms desire into results. There will be days when your heart's not in it. There will be days when you feel like quitting. That's part of the process. But just because you feel low doesn't mean you give low effort. Just because your motivation is gone doesn't mean your work ethic should be too. You've got to rise above that. You've got to develop a mindset that said, oh, no matter how I feel, I show up. No matter what happens, you separate yourself. That's how you gain ground when others are stuck. You put in the work regardless of how you feel. And over time, that effort compounds. That grit builds strength. That consistency breaks through ceilings. You'll look up one day and realize you built something most people only talk about. Not because you felt good all the time, but because you worked, even when you did. So the next time you feel like skipping the grind, remember this. The grind doesn't respect feelings. It only respects effort. And the ones who win in the long run, they don't always feel like it, They just never stop. The ones who win are the ones who chase while everyone else rests. That's the truth nobody wants to hear, because it means accountability. It means ownership. It means your dream isn't going to come to you while you sleep in, scroll through your phone, or wait for motivation. It's going to come to the one who keeps moving, who keeps pushing, who keeps grinding even when the world is quiet, even when it feels like nothing's happening. The difference between the ones who talk and the ones who take is this: movement in silence, effort in isolation, sacrifice in the shadows. You want to win, but are you willing to chase while others rest? Are you willing to do the work when nobody sees you? Are you willing to keep grinding when everybody else is laughing, relaxing, or doubting? Because that's what separates winners from the rest. Not talent, not luck, not some magical opportunity, but grit, a tireless commitment to keep going when others stop, a hunger that doesn't sleep, a mindset that doesn't need applause to function. Most people want the rewards of winning, but they don't want to chase. They don't want to lose sleep. They don't want to work on weekends. They don't want to skip the party, say no to distractions, or push through fatigue. But winning requires all of that. It requires a lifestyle of pursuit, a mentality that says, while the world rests, I rise. Because life isn't waiting for you to catch up. Opportunity doesn't pause for your convenience. If you're not chasing, you're losing ground. There's always someone out there who wants it just as bad as you say you do. Someone who's willing to work while you sleep. Someone who's up early, studying, training, sacrificing. Someone who doesn't hit the snooze button. Someone who doesn't need a reminder or a motivational video to start their day. They're out there, and every time you hesitate, they're gaining on you. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, they're doing it now. And in the long run, that's the difference. Not who's more talented, but who's more consistent. Not who had the biggest dream, but who had the strongest discipline. Winners don't just chase when it's easy, they chase when it's hard. They chase when they're tired. They chase when they're doubting themselves, because they understand something most people never grasp. Every moment you're not chasing your dream, you're giving it a chance to slip away. Every second you waste is a second someone else is using to close the gap. So you got to ask yourself, how bad do I really want this? Because if you're not willing to chase when others rest, you don't want it bad enough. Your dream requires you to move different, to think different, to grind different. It requires you to rise when others fall, to push when others pause, to press forward when the average retreat. You don't get to live an extraordinary life with ordinary effort. You don't get to win big if you only work when it's convenient. You've got to chase every day, every hour. Like your future depends on it, because it does. This world is full of people who started strong and faded out. People who had a moment of fire, but never kept it lit. People who dream loud, but work quiet, and not in a good way. The winners, they're consistent. They chase every single day. They don't take their foot off the gas. They don't get comfortable. They understand that rest is earned, not assumed. That the grind is daily, not seasonal. That success isn't something you meet. It's something you maintain. While others are making excuses, winners are making moves. While others are sitting around waiting for the perfect condition, winners are creating opportunities in imperfect ones. While others are saying, I wish, winners are saying, I will. Or because wishing doesn't build anything, wishing is passive, wishing feels good but changes nothing. Chasing, though, that's where it happens. That's where you grow. That's where you separate. You've got to build the mentality that says, while they rest, I chase. While they hesitate, I move. While they play, I work. And that doesn't mean you don't rest, but you rest with purpose. You rest because you've earned it, not because you're tired of trying. There's a difference. Strategic rest fuels the next push. But lazy rest without having earned it, that's what robs people of greatness. You were not built to be average. You were not made to be mediocre. But if you're not willing to chase while others rest, that's exactly where you'll end up. You'll be another name with potential that went unfulfilled. Another dreamer who didn't do the chasing. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can make the choice right now to go all in, to keep chasing, to rise early, work late, sacrifice, and stay focused, to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating your own. You want to win? Then prove it. Not by talking, not by wishing, but by chasing harder than everyone else. Don't wish for it, train for it. That's the difference between those who dream and those who do. Anybody can wish. Anybody can sit back and imagine a better life, a bigger house, more money, more freedom, more impact. Wishing is easy. Wishing doesn't require any commitment. It doesn't cost anything. But training costs. Training demands something from you. Training requires your energy, your focus, your time, your consistency. And that's why so many people never reach the next level, because they spend all their time wishing and none of their time working. You can't get stronger by wishing. You can't build discipline through daydreams. You can't grow through comfort. If you want it, you got to train like it. You got to approach your goals like an athlete prepared for the championship. Every day you skip the training, you delay the victory. Every time you let comfort win, you let your dream down. Because your dream needs preparation. Your future needs the version of you that's battle-tested, not barely interested. It's easy to say you want success, but are you training like someone who wants to win? Are you waking up with a plan? Are you blocking out distractions? Are you putting in the reps when nobody's clapping? Or are you just hoping it will happen one day if you think about it enough? Wishing is passive. Training is active. Wishing waits. Training works. And the world doesn't reward wishers, it rewards workers. The people at the top, the ones you admire, the ones you call lucky, they train for it. You see the result, but you didn't see the hours they put in when nobody was watching. You didn't see them fail, fall, get up, and try again. You didn't see them sacrifice weekends, skip comfort, bleed in silence. They weren't just wishing, they were working. They were in the gym, on the field, in the books, in the studio, putting in work every single day, while others waited for the perfect time. You can't fake preparation. You can't cheat the process. If you haven't trained for the pressure, you'll fold under it. If you haven't prepared for the opportunity, you'll miss it. The stage isn't the time to start practicing. You've got to be ready before the moment shows up. You've got to train for the fight before the fight ever begins. Because when the lights come on and it's time to perform, you won't rise to the occasion. You'll fall to the level of your preparation. Stop talking about what you're gonna do and start putting in the work. Stop telling people what you want and start becoming the person who's capable of holding it. Because if your habits don't match your vision will die. If your effort doesn't reflect your goals will shrink to match your laziness. And if your work ethic isn't strong enough to carry your dream will collapse under the weight of your inconsistency. Training isn't just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's waking up every day and saying, no matter what happens today, I will grow. I will get better. I will push through the pain. I will do the hard thing even when I don't feel like it. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you build confidence. Confidence doesn't come from wishing, it comes from repetition, from preparation, from knowing you've done the work when others were slacking. There will be days when you don't feel like training. That's normal. But winners don't rely on how they feel. They rely on their habits. They rely on discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. Or when you don't want to do it. It's showing up on the cold mornings, the long nights, the frustrating days, and doing the work anyway. Because you know what's at stake. You know that wishing won't get you there, but training might. You don't need more wishes. You need more reps, more practice, more session, more time in the dark perfecting your craft. You need to be willing to get it wrong 1,000 times so you can get it right once. You need to fall in love with the process, the sweat, the struggle, the grind, because that's where success is born, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. So whatever it is you want, don't wish for it. Get up and train for it. Build yourself into the kind of person who earns it. Prepare yourself so thoroughly that when the moment comes, you don't flinch, you don't freeze, you dominate. Not because you got lucky, but because you trained. Because you earned it, you don't get what you wish for. You get what you work for. You get what you sweat for. You get what you trained your mind, body, and soul to handle. And if you're not training, you're losing ground. Training, you're losing ground. If you're not preparing, you're already behind. Your future self is depending on you to show up today. Not with a dream, but with discipline. Not with wishes, but with work. So stop dreaming and start training. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. It creeps in slowly, quietly, pretending to protect you. It tells you to be careful, to wait, to plan more, to perfect it before you start. But what it really does is steal time. It steals belief. I steals belief. Doubt doesn't punch you in the face. It whispers in your ear. It convinces you to play it safe, to shrink, to pause, to settle for less than you're capable of. And before you know it, your dream is still on the shelf, untouched, unrealized, gathering dust while someone else with half your time, but double your courage is out there making it happen. Doubt doesn't just live in fear, it hides in overthinking. It wears the mask of logic. It says, what if you're not ready? What if you fail? What will people think? And the more you listen, the more it grows. Every time you hesitate because of doubt, you build a wall between you and your goals. A wall made of all the reasons why you think you can't, all the lies you told yourself all the time. You believed you weren't good enough. But here's the truth. Failure won't kill your dream. Failure will teach you, mold you, strengthen you. But doubt will kill your dream before it even takes a breath. You can recover from failure. You can learn from rejection. You can bounce back from a setback. But you can't recover the time you lost sitting still, paralyzed by doubt. That's why the most dangerous thing isn't falling. It's not trying. It's staying stuck in your head, stuck in your what ifs, stuck in the fear of being judged or misunderstood. Doubt is a dream killer because it doesn't just affect your confidence, it attacks your action. And without action, your dream dies slowly, quietly, without a fight. You weren't born with doubt. It was given to you by people, by experiences, by failure. Somewhere along the line, somebody told you that you weren't enough, that your dream was too big, that your background, your education, your situation disqualified you. And the worst part, you believed them. You gave that voice a seat at the table. You let that doubt steer your decisions. But it's time to take back control. Because that voice, it's a liar. That doubt is not real. It only has the power you give it. Think about the times you doubted yourself in the past and still succeeded. Think about the challenges you didn't think you could handle, and yet you're still standing. You didn't need certainty to overcome those moments. You needed faith. You needed action. You needed to move even when your mind screamed you can't, and you did. So what's stopping you now? Same doubt that's been wrong before? Success doesn't require you to be fearless. It requires you to act despite the fear. It requires you to silence that inner critic and listen to the voice of purpose. The one that says you're capable. The one that says you got this. The one that says keep going, because you don't need a guarantee. You just need a chance. You just need one step. One moment of courage. One decision to trust the process and ignore the noise. Most people think they need to feel 100% confident before they start, but that moment never comes. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build by doing, by showing up again and again, by proving to yourself that you're stronger than your fear. That's how you kill doubt, not by sitting with it, not by analyzing it, but by moving in the opposite direction, by doing the thing it says you can't do. Every great success story started with someone who had doubt, but they didn't let those doubts define them. They moved anyway. They tried anyway. They tried anyway. They failed, learned to dust it, and tried again. And in doing so, they became someone stronger, sharper, more resilient. That's the path. That's the way forward, not around doubt, but through it. With courage, with consistency, with a refusal of your dream be another casualty of hesitation. You don't need all the answers to begin. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be brave enough to take the next step. The truth is, you'll never eliminate doubt completely. But you can stop letting it be the loudest voice. You can stop feeding it. You can start feeding your faith, your hunger, your vision. Because that dream in your heart is there for a reason. You didn't come this far just to stop now. You didn't fight through everything you've already survived just to bow to doubt. So stop letting that voice talk you out of your purpose. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop believing the lie that says you're not enough. You are right now. As you are. And if you start walking toward your dream, even with the fear, even with the doubt, you will get stronger with every step. Because the real danger isn't in failing, it's in never trying. It's in letting the silence of inaction drown out the sound for your potential. Doubt doesn't get the final say. You do. They won't believe in you until it's done. And that's okay. You don't need their validation. You don't need the applause right now. You don't need everyone to see the vision or understand the mission. You've got to be okay walking alone for a while. You've got to be willing to build in silence, to grind in the dark, to work behind closed doors with no one watching, no one cheering, no one clapping, because that's where real greatness is born. People won't always see what you see. They'll question your choices. They'll laugh at your discipline. They'll wonder why you're sacrificing so much. But they don't understand the fire inside you. They don't feel that pull in your gut, that voice that keeps whispering, there's more in you. And that's okay. That voice was meant for you, not them. That vision was placed in your heart, not theirs. Stop expecting people to support something they weren't called to build. You have to become comfortable being misunderstood. You have to be okay with being doubted, because that doubt is fuel. That disbelief is motivation. The people laughing now will be watching it. The ones who ignored you will ask you how you did it, but none of that can be your reason. Your reason has to come from within. If you're building just to prove them wrong, that's not purpose, that's ego. But if you're building because your soul won't let you quit, because your vision won't leave you alone, because your future self is begging you not to stop, that's purpose. That's unshakable. Every great story started with someone who was doubted. Every champion once heard, you're wasting your time. Every entrepreneur once heard, that'll never work. Every game changer once heard, be realistic. And they kept going anyway. Not because the world believed in them, but because they believed in themselves. That's the level you gotta get to, where your belief in your purpose is louder than the world's doubt. Where your drive drowns out their disbelief. People will believe it when it's done, when the book is published, when the business is built, when the transformation is undeniable. But to get there, you gotta push through all the times they didn't believe. You've gotta keep going when no one is watching. You've gotta keep showing up when nobody says your name, because it's not their job to believe in you, it's yours. And your faith in yourself has to be bigger than their silence. Some of the most powerful motivation doesn't come from the cheers. It comes from the silence. From the quiet rooms where it's just you and the work. From the lonely nights where quitting looks easier than continuing. From the days when you ask yourself, is this even worth it? And then you keep going anyway. It's power. That's what builds character. That's what builds resilience. That's what makes the breakthrough taste so sweet. Because you know you didn't need a crowd to reach it. Let them doubt you. Let them talk. Let them watch. Because the best response is execution. The best response is results. When they said you could, and you did. When they thought you would, and you did. That's how you make noise. Not with your mouth, but with your movement. Not with arguments, but with accomplishments. Don't waste your breath trying to convince them. Use your energy to build what they said you could. In fact, sometimes the doubt is the greatest gift because it removes the noise. It filters out the fake support. It forces you to go deep, to build your foundation on something real. Not approval, not attention, but purpose. And once you got that, you become unstoppable because you're no longer chasing applause. You're no longer working for recognition. You're building something that matters, something rooted in your soul, something that can't be shaken by opinions. When it's done, they'll act like they always knew. They'll say they believe in you all along, but you'll know the truth. You'll remember the days you were alone. The days you cried in silence, the days you almost quit but did. And that journey, that quiet grind, that's what will make the victory real because it was earned, not given. Built, not gifted. Grown, not gifted. Grown, not granted. Keep your head down and your heart up. Let them talk. Let them sleep. Let them doubt. You just keep moving. Keep showing up. Keep building. In the end, it's not about who believed. It's about who finished. And when you cross that finish line, in the spotlight you built for yourself, you won't need anyone else to clap. You'll already know you did it. Without them, they all short. Despite them, beyond them, and that's the kind of belief that changes everything. The dream doesn't respond to words, it responds to action. You can talk about it all day long. You can post it, tweet it, share it, write it in a journal, and tell everyone about what you're going to do. But at the end of the day, your dream is sitting there, untouched, waiting. Not for more speeches, not for more hype, but for movement. Because dreams don't move on words, they move when you do. They respond to discipline. They respond to sacrifice. They respond to consistency. Everyone has something they want to do. Everyone has an ideal goal, vision. but very few are willing to do what it actually takes to bring it to life. It's easy to dream. It's easy to talk about your future when it's just imagination. But that's not what gets results. What gets results is doing the work when it's hard, showing up when it's inconvenient, grinding when it's painful, pushing through when nobody claps, nobody helps, and nobody cares. The ones who win are not the loudest talkers. They're the ones who shut up and put in the out. You can't speak your dream into existence unless your feet are moving in that direction. Too many people fall in love with the image of success, but not the grind that builds it. They fall in love with the spotlight, but not the work in the shadows. And the truth is, your dream doesn't care how motivated you feel. It doesn't care how many times you say you'd start. It only responds to one thing: execution. That's the difference between the talkers and the takers. Execution isn't glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not fun most of the time. Fun most of the time. It's repetitive. It's lonely. It's gritty. It's uncomfortable. It's waking up early when you don't want to. It's staying late when you rather rest. It's choosing growth over comfort day after day with no applause, no shortcuts, and no guarantees. And if you're not willing to do that, your dream will stay a fantasy. It will live in your head and die with your excuses. The people who achieved their goals are the ones who took action when they didn't feel like it. They didn't wait for the perfect mood or the ideal conditions. They didn't stop because things got hard. They didn't let fear make their decisions. They moved, they executed, they adjusted. They failed and tried again. Because movement is the only thing that builds momentum. And momentum is what keeps dreams alive. You can't keep telling the world what you're going to do and never follow through. At some point, your word has to mean something. Your dream needs proof, not promises, not potential. Proof that you're serious, proof that you're committed, proof that when you say you want it, you mean it. And that proof comes in the form of work, of sweat, of time, of sacrifice. That's what earns results. Not passion alone, not inspiration, but effort. Relentless, focused effort. There's nothing wrong with speaking your goals, but don't let speaking become a substitute for doing. You need to be the person who talks less and moves more. The person who builds instead of brags, who lets the results do the talking. Because when the work is real, the results will speak louder than any words ever could. You won't have to convince anyone. They'll see it. They'll feel it. They'll know. And yes, there will be people who doubt you. People who roll their eyes when you talk about your dream. That's why you stop talking and start showing. Stop explaining and start executing. Because at the end of the day, nobody can deny results. Nobody can argue with progress. In the moment they see what you built, what you've endured, what you've overcome, they'll understand. But by then, you won't even need the validation because you already have the one thing that matters most: results. Execution separates dreamers from doers. It separates the maybe one days from the I did it anyway. You've got to get tired of talking and hungry for movement. You've got to stop fantasizing and start building. Stop waiting for motivation and start creating your own momentum. Action is the ultimate antidote to doubt, to fear, to procrastination. When you start moving, things begin to change. Not just in your circumstances, but in your mind, in your spirit, in your confidence. So don't just talk about your dream, honor it, protect it, fight for it. Make the daily decision to do what most people won't, so you can live a life most people never will. The blueprint is simple: less talking, more doing, less wishing, more working, less dreaming, more execution. Because your dream isn't waiting for another speech. It's waiting for your next move. Excuses don't build empire. They don't write books, start businesses, break records, or change lives. Excuses keep you small. Excuses rob you of your time, your potential, and your greatness. And the worst part, most excuses sound reasonable. They sound smart. They sound smart. They sound safe. That's why so many people never get started, because their excuses sound like truth. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. It's not the right time. I don't have the resources. But behind every excuse is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of hard work. And until you kill the excuses, you will never live the life you were born to live. You can justify anything if you try hard enough. You can justify quitting. You can justify staying stuck. You can justify wasting years of your life waiting for someday. But the truth is, excuses are nothing more than a defense mechanism for staying comfortable. They give you a way out. They make you feel better about not moving forward. But comfort never built anything legendary, Dane, legendary. Nothing worthwhile has ever been accomplished by someone who leaned on their excuses more than their effort. The ones who rise, they've got the same obstacles. They've got the same challenges, but they respond differently. Instead of saying, I can't, they say, I can. They say, I can. Instead of saying it's too hard, they say it's worth it. They don't allow excuses to take root in their minds because they understand that excuses are the enemy of execution. And if you let them take hold, they will paralyze your progress and poison your potential. You can't let your story become one of almost started, almost made it, almost made it, almost changed. Because the graveyard is full of people with great ideas and powerful dreams who never move past their excuses. You've got to decide right now that your future matters more than your excuses. That your purpose is more powerful than your fear. That your hunger to grow outweighs your desire to stay safe. Because you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. The question is not whether it's hard, it will be. The question is not whether you'll feel like quitting, you will. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to surrender the excuses? Or are you going to stand up and push through anyway? Champions don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. They show up tired. They show up broke. They show up uncertain, but they show up. And that's what separates the average from the elite. Not the absence of excuses, but the refusal to use them. You've got to stop blaming your circumstances. Stop pointing the finger at your past. Stop using your lack of resources as a reason to stay where you are. You may not be responsible for everything that's happened to you, but you are responsible for what you do next. Life doesn't hand out success, it hands out opportunity. And opportunity is worthless if you're too busy making excuses to grab it. Every time you choose the excuse, you choose the easy way out. You choose to protect your pride instead of build your progress. You choose to stay safe instead of becoming strong. But the growth is in the discomfort. The greatness is in the grind. The power is in the push. And if you're willing to get honest with yourself, if you're willing to confront the excuses and call them what they are, you'll find that most of the limitations you think you have aren't real. They're mental, they're emotional, and they can be broken. You don't need a new strategy. You need a new standard. A standard that says, I don't negotiate with excuses. A standard that says, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, regardless of how I feel. A standard that raises the bar on your own behavior and doesn't let your emotions dictate your action. Because when you build that kind of discipline, excuses don't even stand a chance. Start listening to your goals more than your fear. Start honoring your potential more than your comfort. Stop feeding the voice that says, not now, or maybe later, or you're not ready. That voice is lying. That voice wants you to stay stuck. That voice wants you to live a life of regret. But deep down, you know you're meant for more. You know there's something greater waiting, but only if you move. At some point, you have to get sick of your own excuses. You have to look in the mirror and say, oh, no more wasting time. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more shrinking when I should be growing. No more wishing instead of working. No more blaming instead of building. Your dream is your responsibility. Your future is in your hands. And if you really want it, then you got to kill the excuses and do the work. Nobody's coming to do it for you. Nobody's going to hand it to you. But that's the beautiful part. It's all on you, which means the power is yours. The power to change, the power to rise. Success isn't supposed to feel comfortable. If it did, everybody would have. Everybody would be wealthy. Everybody would be fit. Everybody would be fulfilled. But that's not the world we live in. Because success, real success, the kind that transforms your life and sets you apart, lives on the other side of pain, struggle, discomfort, and sacrifice. It lives where most people quit. It lives in a territory where you feel stretched, broken, and unsure if you can take another step. That's where champions are made, not in the comfort zone, but in the fire. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. It's that cozy little voice that tells you to sleep in instead of showing up. It whispers you deserve a break, even when you haven't earned it. It convinces you that there's always tomorrow, so you never give your all today. But the truth is, comfort will never challenge you to grow. It won't push you to your limits. It won't force you to become the version of yourself that can handle everything you say you want. That version, the one who reaches the goal, builds the dream, changes the world, only comes through adversity. You can't expect to stay the same and still rise. Growth doesn't come without pain. Change doesn't come without pressure. Strength isn't born from ease. It's born from resistance, from doing the thing you don't want to do day after day, from showing up when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you feel like giving up. That's the process. That's the price. And the sooner you accept that discomfort is part of the journey, the sooner you'll stop resisting and start rising. Most people want results, but they don't want the work. They want the transformation, but not the trial. They want the applause, but not the silence that comes before it. But that silence, that struggle, that's where the work happens. That's where you build muscle, mental, physical, emotional. You become unshakable not when everything's going well, but when you keep going, despite the fact that everything hurts. You gotta learn to be okay with being uncomfortable. In fact, you have to chase discomfort, lean into it, embrace it. Because discomfort is a sign that you're growing, that you're stretching beyond what you thought was possible, that you're building something inside of you that can't be broken. The pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's shaping you, sharpening you, breaking off the weak parts so the strong parts can rise. And yes, there will be moments when you feel like quitting, moments when you question everything. When the pressure gets so heavy, it feels like it's crushing you. But those are the moments that define you. Anyone can move forward when it's easy. Anyone can stay motivated when everything's working out. But it takes a different kind of spirit to keep going when nothing is. That's where greatness begins, in the moments most people run from. Your ability to endure discomfort will determine how far you go. It will decide whether you stay stuck or step into your power, whether you settle or rise. Because every level of your life will demand a new version of you, a stronger version, a wiser version, a more disciplined version. And that version won't show up by accident. You have to fight for it. You have to earn it through the pain, through the process, through the perseverance that only discomfort brings. You've got to stop expecting this to be easy. You've got to stop waiting for the right moment to feel good, to feel ready. That moment may never come. You can't let how you feel dictate what you do, because feelings are fickle, but commitment is power. When you decide that you're in this no matter what, that you'll show up no matter how hard it gets, then nothing can stop you. Not the pain, not the doubt, not the doubt. That's where unstoppable begins, in the decision to keep going when everything inside you says quit. The reality is, success isn't supposed to feel good while you're in it. It's supposed to stretch you, supposed to demand more than you think you can give. Because only when you hit that wall, only when you're out of strength and still choose to go forward, do you find out who you really are. Do you unlock the level of yourself that was buried under all the excuses, all the distractions, all the comfort you once craved? So the next time it hurts, the next time it feels like too much, remember this. That's the price. That's the process. That's what separates you from the ones who will only ever talk about success. You're not supposed to feel good every day. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to stretch. You're supposed to rise. And if you can learn to push through the pain, if you can learn to welcome discomfort instead of running from it, you will unlock a power inside you that nothing, not fear, not failure, and not fatigue can ever take away.